To go to gavel, but ready? Call the meeting to order. For those in attendance, myself, Wendy, Robert here. Yes, did we say we're supposed to, Wendy?
You're supposed to
Say your
say,
name.
or just say who is here, at least it's recorded for the minutes.
The
She's
minutes,
just saying.
Wendy Corstanch, Robert Prince, myself, Scott Kramer. Absent are David and Alan.
For the record, both were requested and told us in advance as well, and you can decide if you're gonna excuse them.
Separately,
What?
we need to excuse them.
They're us.
Okay.
They're not rogue planning commissioners.
Excused absences for David and Alan. It's Article 1, we're gonna skip Article 2 because we don't have a flag. Move on to Article 3, which asks to approve the current agenda, which was attached to the packet.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second that.
Minus Article 2.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, on Article 4, does anybody have any conflicts of interest to disclose?
No.
Nope.
I also don't, do Article 4. All right, Article 5, to approve the minutes of the July 7th, 2025 meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 7th, 2025 meeting.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Aye.
Yeah, it's a record. All right, Article 6, acknowledge visitors and those wishing to speak. Is that not on the agenda items? I'm not always quite sure why there's two sections of visitors to speak.
Usually, which ours is not broke out like the board meeting, but usually it's the first, speaking is for those wishing to speak for things on the agenda, if they would like to speak, but there is a public hearing for the one that's listed, so usually we wait for the public hearing to open for any people to speak. So, and then the second one is for anybody who wants to speak on anything, all right?
Okay, all right, so
Do you want to speak on this or wait?
I
for
do.
public Hearing.
I do. I don't think, I didn't see a public hearing in the,
It's listed on this agenda I'm looking at on my phone as a public hearing.
interesting. It is not on this agenda.
Was your agenda, when was yours printed?
Well, it was at the meeting right there, so I don't know when it was printed. It
Is this
doesn't,
a public hearing?
Yes,
yeah, all right, my bad.
it doesn't really need to be distinguished as a public hearing on the agenda to be considered a
That's
part of public hearing.
Would like to speak.
I'd like to disappear before you deliberate,
That's fine.
just to be polite. A couple of observations, Scott.
Just say your.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris
name
Nordyke.
and address.
3720 Oak Bluff Drive, Southeast Grand Rapids, Michigan. I think I know most of you. I don't know you, Scott. I will say that you're running a much faster than Alan. I had a few jokes about his golf game too. I'm a bit disappointed he's not here. But no, I came tonight as a citizen and to speak in support of Carrie Borchers and Dan Wilder on their request. I had a chance to drive by. I've known Carrie and Dan for years. I think that the way that their lot is set up and further, like with the new zoning ordinance that we're about to approve, this would be moot. So I would definitely encourage you to consider that. Well, there'd be one street that would be,
Right,
they wouldn't
but-
have two front yards.
But it violates both front yards,
Yes,
is my point.
Absolutely.
It's not, so
Absolutely.
it would have to come before
Yeah.
the planning commission no matter what, even
Yeah.
with the new zoning ordinance, because it still violates the setbacks on both of them.
fair enough. I think that there's a garage there, so if you look at the way the lot's set up, there's no good place to put a garage with the stream and the septic. So again, I'll let staff go into the particulars there. I just wanted to come and speak in support of it, and I think it will add to the character of the lot and of the property. and help with property values around, and that's something I always looked at as I was a planning commissioner, so thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else in attendance wishing to speak?
I just wanted to see if anybody came to talk about the zoning ordinance.
Oh,
I guess not, so I'm.
Yeah.
Anybody online?
Nope,
Do we need to introduce ourselves if we're planning on answering any questions that you may have?
during your item, yeah.
All right, I think we're all set with Article 6 then, so moving on to Article 7, case number 25-3893.
Can I just be
Applicants.
easier?
Orchards?
Gary Borchers and Wilder. And we start with the staff report.
Alright, we're gonna mix it up. I'm gonna do it this time, so
All right.
bear with me. Alright, so yep, this application is for 8751 Cascade Road. It's gonna be a request for a type 1 special use permit for an accessory building in the front yard. That's gonna be under the standards of section 17031B. Planning Commission heard a case here a couple meetings ago. A similar request, and it's gonna be that same section that kind of dictates the provisions that allow for this, so. So as you can see on the screen, this parcel is a corner lot, as was mentioned in public comment. It has frontage on both Cascade Road and Quiggle Ave. There's a stream that runs through the middle of the property. Currently, there is a single family dwelling on the property as well as a 280 square foot detached garage, which appears to currently be used as a shed. The current garage would be considered a legal non-conforming building as it is located in the front yard. Therefore, it falls under the provisions of chapter 22 of zoning ordinance. So if it were to be reconstructed or repaired, it would have to be in accordance with all zoning ordinance standards. So that is why this is before you today. We'll skip down. So this is the site plan that was provided by the applicant with what they are proposing to do. I will just clarify in the image here, you'll see the structure here with the solid line. That is going to be what is currently on the property. And then this dotted line here is what they're proposing to build. So they would be demolishing the existing 280 square foot structure and replacing it with a 552 square foot detached garage, and that would be the footprint. The overall square foot area of the building is going to be 795 square feet. So this is a building that would be, as far as size is concerned, compliant with the ordinance and be allowed by right. The reason this is before you today is because it would still be located in the front yard, which is not compliant with the ordinance. So we're strictly looking at location here. The new building, as you can see, will be set back roughly 10 feet farther than the existing building is. Which would bring it in line with the current building or the current primary structure, which is also non-conforming in setback at 36 feet off the road. Yeah,
References to
Sure.
that section of the house over there, because you can't see or tell from the road, but just looking at the drawing, is that a garage?
here. Yes, and the applicant can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is an attached
So
garage
it's
there,
still
so.
in front of the living space of the home.
Yes, so this,
72, you know.
this existing structure is, or are you talking about the proposed structure being in front of the living space?
Yeah, both would be, because if that's a garage, that's not considered part of the living space already. That's,
Yes,
garage.
no, so it would be in front of, the living space here, but bring it back here, would put it in line with the furthest front face of the home
right,
off of Cascade.
but does the zoning ordinance discuss? And I'm getting the two confused, the
Mhm.
one that we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
The zoning ordinance we're looking at right now talks about the living.
So the zoning ordinance right now considers an attached garage part of the principal structure, so we don't delineate the difference between which part is the garage or which part is a living space when determining front yard when we're determining yards for, the purpose of
Because
liar or
Because it's
accessory.
noted somewhere in here, not having it in front of me to be able to reference it, in the
Hmm.
staff report, it is noted something about. Is it in like the living space part?
Yeah, actually, I'm not entirely sure which part we're referencing here, but it would be like she had said, to the furthest point of the home off of Cascade is where we measure the front yard. So it wouldn't necessarily have to do with the living space.
Is the answer we refer to that?
No, we still, what we would do is we define yard differently, so we still don't distinguish between the living space and an attached garage. We don't say that an attached garage is not part of the principal structure.
Okay.
So it would still be determined by the principal structure, but we do go a little bit further and make sure to define the yard, the side or rear yard as the setback line if there's a if there's a primary structure that encroaches into the front yard. Does that make sense? All right, I'm gonna put this in. We have a drawing in the ordinance. So currently, the front setback, let's pretend that this isn't a side yard, or this is just a regular lot. The front setback for this zone district would be 50 feet, the structure is 36. So we would define the side yard as the 50 foot, as the setback line, and not the plane of the principal structure. Since it's not make sense, but somewhere.
Yep, and in this case, this is off Cascade Road, which is an arterial road, so the setback is actually 50 feet. Rather than a lot of the other homes, which would be 35, so that's just something to keep in mind.
I just feel, can I interject?
No.
After the staff.
Sure.
Just kind of make a little less tonight.
No.
All right, we got you all off track.
No, that's all right. So, the proposed plan would still be, considered in the front yard. Either way, with this being a corner lot, as this, area east of the plane of the home here, towards Quiggle would be considered front yard as well as right here, so.
What page was that you were just on?
With the site plan. That is on page. Oh, I have it in front of me. If you'd like, we do actually have some larger copies of it right there too. I can give you.
I'm just wondering what page it was, just can I reference the photo?
Yeah. Let's see the PDF page, but
Can you go back to it?
Yeah. not gonna be numbered, so.
This is a separate document or?
Yeah, this is a separate attachment with the staff report, so. It's not
But it's-
necessarily numbered.
It's part of the packet. The number I think is 17. The little red, obviously it's hard to see there, but I
Oh,
think it's 17 of 18.
Yes, it's gonna be page 17. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, thanks for being patient with us while we work through the challenges of of our temporary
Okay,
space.
so getting back to it, for this request, since they are looking to locate it in the front yard, this would fall under section 1703(1)(b). There are provisions within the zoning ordinance that allow for an accessory structure to be located in the front yard. One of those would be if it is a waterfront property. This water does have a stream running through it, but we would not consider that a waterfront property per the definitions of the ordinance. The other provision is the section here. Please also remember too, this is not like a variance. It doesn't need to meet all three of the criteria that are within this section. It just needs to meet one of those to be considered appropriate to approve. So I'll run through each of those three criteria and kind of how this property relates to that. So the first set of criteria here is a lot in which the topography of the property makes it impossible to construct the building in the rear or side yard, or extensive grading and tree removal is required, which would significantly change the landscape and views of the neighborhood if required to locate the building in the rear or side yard. So with this property, as we kind of shown, I'll pull it up here again. There is a stream running through the middle of the property here, blocking much of the northern portion of the parcel from feasible access. There's also a pond here located on the west side of the parcel, which makes it more challenging placing the garage in some of the locations that would be considered compliant. A lot of these locations too could also require some extensive grading, with there being some drops in elevation as you get closer to the creek. The applicant has also indicated some seasonal flooding. I don't know if you can see the mouse here, kind of in the location near the creek, which would make it more difficult to locate it farther back. According to Eagle, I don't know if you can see this picture well here at all, but this area here in the property would be considered wetland soil, so that could have some factors too.
Where's the house in this picture out there?
Yeah,
Within
so
the
it's,
yellow.
It's in the,
yeah, it's right smack in the yellow, so
That's what I was
um,
like,
can-
like, houses.
yeah, so you can take it for whatever that's worth. The new structure, I believe it's probably, partially out of it, partially within it. The proposed location would likely not cause too much of a difference in terms of tree removal. Did you, oh, we didn't
No,
bring that, did we?
I'm sorry, I dropped the ball.
Yeah, I can show you some pictures here towards the end, but there are two trees that the applicant did note would be removed as a part of this. But it would not change the screening from Cascade Road or Quiggle as far as neighborhood views. Yeah, so we'll move on to the second condition here, which is allowing which the property owner would have to drive over a drain or septic field in order to access the garage. I'll pull back up the site plan here for you. That factor doesn't necessarily apply as much with this situation, but as you can see, it's located over here. Does kind of limit any structure within this area, which would still be non-compliant as it is in the front yard. But that combined with some of the topography issues and elevation drops, surrounding the home does make it more difficult. So that condition doesn't necessarily met, but having it located here might kind of complement some of the issues with the topography. And then allowing which the accessory building is set back a minimum of 200 feet from the right of way. Obviously that is not going to be met as it is located closer than that. So one last thing I'll mention too, as you consider this, and if you guys have any questions, you can answer those as well. Because this lot, as we had mentioned, the front yard setback would be 36 feet to the accessory building. The setback requirement is 50 feet, therefore it does not meet the front yard setback requirement. This provision in section 17031B does require that the front yard setback be maintained in order to be approved under these provisions. Therefore, the applicant is also requesting a variance, which would be heard by the ZBA at their September meeting. So one thing to keep in mind, and it is included within your recommended motion here, is that this should, if this were to be approved by the planning commission, it'd be conditioned that they receive that variance for the setback requirement as well, or for a reduction in the setback. I think that pretty much covers it. If you guys have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No, I don't.
Like show the
I guess I have a couple
elevations.
questions
Yeah.
in general, but probably better
Yeah, and I will say too, forgot to mention or show you guys this part, I know you don't have it in front of you necessarily. These are the provided elevations that we were given of the structure. Something I also failed to mention too with, it does have a second floor, attic space included. It is still under the 832 square feet maximum for floor area, however, so, that part of it is compliant.
Okay. Anyone else have questions from staff?
What, if this was in the backyard, what was the max height if we go to them?
The max height would be 22 feet to the midpoint. This structure is 16 and a half to the midpoint. It could be something to keep in mind with that height. If it were located in the backyard, it would need 40 feet to any setbacks, side and rear. So it is, technically less than that to the front yard. However, that's kind of a different requirement, but
We're measuring the front yard because it's on a main street not from the center of the road, but from.
yes, this is measured from the road right of way. So, as shown kind of this line here is that road right of way. That's being measured.
How much, if it was. Because it's an arterial road, that's why it's different. What is the road right away towards the center?
It's typically 33 feet from the center of the road. That is where the right of way line is drawn.
So, okay.
All right, any other questions, Lydia, from staff? Okay, all right, so with the conclusion of the staff report, well, I guess the applicant would talk, is that part of public hearing? Or do we just have the applicant?
You can
Does it
have
really?
them come up and,
Is this supposed to be a public hearing?
It says
It
it.
is a
Yep.
public hearing. Their
So-
notices were sent as a public hearing.
I just want to make sure, because Darcy was saying he didn't think it
Yeah.
was. So-
it was, yeah.
It says so on my agenda.
On this one, I'm mine it does too. So I don't know what. he's
Yeah, yeah,
I think we need to open public hearing first before we have applicant come up. Correct?
yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay,
I mean, isn't that the correct?
It doesn't really matter with the applicant, but yeah, you can, yes.
I mean, if we have
Yes.
people here to speak, do open public hearing,
Mhm.
let them speak, and then we would talk to the applicant.
No, I would usually hear from the applicant and then public,
all right, well, let's move forward, and if the applicant would like to come up and
Sure.
one or both.
I'll start, you can
All
add
right.
in anything you know about. So I guess maybe before what questions would you like to ask us first? Or would you like to hear maybe I'll start this, why are we doing this in the first place?
Yeah, why don't you
So
just-
if you could zoom in just a little bit
Yeah.
larger, I think I do want to kind of underscore a couple points. So we have an existing accessory building today. It currently is 84 feet from the center of the road, right? Is that what we said?
Yeah, from the
That
center of the road.
we're not entirely sure when it was built. The home was built in 73 or 74. It appears to be the same age as the home. We think we are the third or fourth homeowners. We bought the house in January of 2019. We have a part of the primary dwelling, which you can see on the left-hand side of this image. There is an attached two-stall garage. And the current existing accessory building is forward to the home, which is not compliant. The proposed accessory building that we'd like to demolish the existing one-stall garage and replace it with something that's further setback from what is today. And would be more functional for us. It'd be two stalls instead of one, and plus an additional storage space above the two-stall garage. The existing building has some things that it definitely needs to be repaired at some point in time. So we're like, if we go through the effort of repairing a one-stall garage, we'd like to replace it to have a two-stall further setback. We feel like it'll enhance the value of the property. It'll look nicer than what's there today. And it would enable us to have a little bit more security in that space as well for additional vehicles and toys and tools like riding mowers. We have a very unique property and we have almost 5 acres and that's what drew us to Cascade Township when we moved here from Austin, Texas. And that was the creek, the pond, the topography. The house is built, it is technically a 4-level home. It's a split level, between 4 levels and has a walkout lower level. There's quite a bit of degree of variances from those decks. Those are double-decker decks, so there's a deck that slides off the kitchen, and then there's a deck off the middle layer, and then there's a walkout to the lower level. So I don't exactly know how many feet that is from ground to that first deck, but it's actually pretty high. The previous owners had to move the drainage field for the septic, I think in 2013 or 2014, to be compliant when they were doing some revisions to the septic system because of the topography of the lot, because there is that creek and the pond. I mean, there's no place else you could put the septic drainage field. And so that is also one of the reasons why when we looked at if we demolish the existing accessory building and put a new one in, where could we put it? So initially we kind of thought, oh, maybe we could put it over into the wooded part of the property, which would be more facing Quiggle. But we can't because of the drainage field. And we can't put it onto the left side of if you're standing at our circle driveway, we have a pond there, and then you have, it's very much kind of swampy, boggy land behind that. And we have a neighbor's driveway. So I'm not nearly as versed in the zoning rules and regulations, but I'm certain that we'd have to be before you to ask for permission to be able to accessory dwelling, that our neighbors now can see from their front yard, right? So that's why we would like to basically raise what's there today and build something that's better and more compliant. We were surprised that with a corner lot that we have two front yards. We didn't really, when we bought the house, we didn't go read all the zoning.
We're trying to fix that.
Yeah, well, I understand that through the research for all this, that we learned that maybe you make improvements, but we're here now, so so that's
Can you say something real
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead.
So if you look over past the creek to the left, basically it's like a glacial wall there. So, and the old farmers kind of stacked a lot of old stumps over there, and there's old fencing and stuff along that side of that property. So really and when the creek floods, it basically goes up to where that little bed is coming off of the lower deck. You can almost, so to build even a bridge to access that point would have to be quite the undertaking. And then with Eagle getting involved with the wetland thing, I don't think it would even be feasible by them to put a structure like that in that area. So.
And then the last, sorry.
And then I just want to say we didn't see the inside of the shed when we purchased it. And the floor was upheaved, pretty bad. And now it's just really bad because the white pine that's behind it has just tore up the concrete.
Right.
So it's probably about 4 or 5 inches along the door, so you can't open the door, and then the garage opens, but everything that leaks in there. So, yeah, just a quick note.
And the white pine that is one of the trees that you can see it here to the left. It's quite big. So that tree will be removed regardless of this outcome, because it's the size of it and the proximity to the house. It's actually a concern from us trees. We already had a tree fall in our house a couple of years ago in the back, so we got rid of all those white pines that were close to the house. So the landscape buffer that exists today between the accessory building and Cascade Road will remain. I mean, we'll probably make it look a little nicer, but we want to have that landscape buffer, because as Cascade Road gets more and more traffic, the more landscaping we can put up to kind of help buffer some of that sound. We like too. We want our privacy as well, so. So I think, I just kind of wanted to start, that's why we're here, and that's what we're hoping to accomplish, is to get the special use permit, and then we have already applied if we're successful here, to get the variance, so we could then get to the business of making it work nicer, so.
Yeah, I have a question. So could you go back to the drawing?
Yeah.
So, what's the
Sorry.
good way to add it, actually?
Oh.
So the dotted line that looks almost like an ingress egress that heads out to
Oh, no, that's actually a chain link fence, the
Okay,
dotted line, yeah, so, it's funny, my uncle was an architect, he actually just retired from the city of Boston as their historical architect, but. So I was showing him this weekend, he's like, what is this dotted line? I'm like, so that's actually a chain link fence that the previous owners, put up.
They had dogs,
They had-
dogs,
So
he built
we've
the whole
just, we've
fence.
kept it
But
there.
this way, this is a chain link?
So the chain link fence goes, yes, it's sort of like the L shape, so it goes from.
The southernmost
It
property
goes
line.
To the corner of Quiggle,
oh, I
Yeah,
see,
Quiggle, and then it
like,
goes-
you're
it-
talking about.
Yeah,
yes, and then if you
I was
follow
asking
it,
about this.
that,
That's just the setback lines. That's
Oh,
just the
this-
distance
yeah.
between the property.
This is just showing the distance
Oh.
from this property line to the front
I
of the home here.
measurements, okay, yeah,
So-
measurements, okay, I got you, just like
Yeah,
setbacks depicted down.
yeah, so these would be the front yard setbacks for each frontage here, it's these dotted lines here.
Okay, and I understand that the topography is gonna go down as you get to the creek.
it goes down actually from,
From there,
yeah, pretty much from the crest it goes downhill to where the drainage field is,
yeah, so.
on top of that hill, yep. And
What-
then in the middle, there's an ejector pump.
If
is
you,
topography the issue that, like, what would prevent you from
You can-
moving the building 14 feet to the north?
Right now, we have, septic pumps, kind of see where that dotted line is, like, so if you're envisioning 14 feet from the northernmost line of the proposed accessory building. There are septic pumps right there, lift pumps, right?
Yeah, it's the
specifically?
ejector system out of the
Yep.
3 tank system that goes out of the basement.
So they're
I see where the
up
cover
here, they're
Yes.
not over here.
Correct.
Correct, they were all moved, the steel had to be put in per EPA. In 14, they made them move the existing drain field.
So you see the septic covered where that's where they're noted on the thing, and then right where the writing is actually where the pumps are.
What is this? What does this go to?
That is,
Nothing,
there's nothing, it's stopped.
it's just a
So
parking
it's the-
spot.
The whole
Yeah.
drive, Circle Drive is paved, and it's paved to that point. There's a little brick barrier and then it goes into grass.
It's really just an access to mow,
And
yeah,
there,
mow and to have the
there's
drainage.
fencing, so
pump.
the previous
Yeah.
owners put in, some decorative fence kind of in the front, so they have it sort of a fence that comes out. There, and it's an open, you can just drive your
Yeah,
tractor through there. So there's, I don't know, do we know what the drop off is, but in terms of slope. From, I mean, that is not flat ground. there, it
Basically,
slopes
Yeah.
downward.
the whole property is like a glacial fallout, so you have both sides are rocky. With pine trees on one
Okay.
side, and then if you go across the creek. It goes up on a hill towards our neighbors, drops down into a floodplain. What's constantly wet on the other side, I just basically mow that side, it's a giant field, but it is. Probably wet like 6 months out of the year, with like probably a couple springs over there. So, and then I access my mowing and yard work stuff from the neighbor's house,
Okay,
I just use his thing, otherwise you'd have to build over a creek and the side that is on Quiggle. Where the creek is it just drops off right away.
yeah, it doesn't really affect my analysis at all, but I was just gonna ask, how do you
Yeah.
get to the other side? Do you,
Yeah.
can you get over there by foot, like, when it's not super wet, or do you?
Yeah, you could jump it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not super.
I mean,
wet.
I do sometimes,
There,
yeah.
and there's a
but yeah.
couple big boulders in, so in this,
I've tried a few
this,
things,
that creek is,
quick fix.
is nice, in late spring and early spring, it can get pretty. Cause we get a lot of the runoff from the farm fields further.
So to get over there, you gotta get out on the road and kind of cross the neighbor's
Yeah.
driveway to get back in there.
I mean, you can get over there, but just not with equipment, so that's why, yeah.
We have knocked around the idea of building a bridge, but just.
But now knowing all the wetland stuff, I don't know what.
I don't think
you could
I don't
put
think
in
we
there.
would get approval to.
They never did it because of floods.
Yeah.
They tried to put a deck, I think initially. In the 70s, there's a couple photos where it's all rocks in front of the pond and they had a dock there. They tried to put 2 there and they're swept away in the floods, spring floods, so.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
And just, I think I have a couple, but, second story, What's your plans?
Just storage, yeah.
So even though it's finished,
We're not sure, I mean, we don't, these plans right now that we have aren't, I mean, that's not, I don't even have a materials estimate yet, because we said we don't know if we're gonna get.
So we get approved, we
So
don't know.
we may not
Yeah.
finish it, but it will be at least built, so we could put access that to use for storage.
What way does the garage door face? Oh, I'm sorry.
Currently, or,
total height of the second floor.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, 8 feet or,
I just don't remember mentally.
17.
oh, right there, it should show it, 8 feet or,
Too small.
yeah,
What's it height? Oh, yeah.
8 feet, yeah,
9 to
I
the
think
center.
it's 8 by
Go to the
10 and a
fin-
half.
Go to the finish section, cause it shows like where it's finished to, like over to the down. Right there. 8, okay. So it's not like a full living.
No,
No,
we don't, I mean, we have electricity to the current accessory building today.
there wouldn't be any
So we
water or
don't
anything out
continue
there,
that.
so, yeah,
So,
It's like,
it's
just
just
so
a,
you know,
yeah.
in the past, we've had people come pretending like they're not gonna do anything with them.
yeah,
And then, because we don't allow accessory dwelling. units
Right.
for
Right.
people to live or to rent out or anything like
Yeah.
that, so.
Yeah.
So, and when I first see that, that's one of my biggest fears.
Right.
is we don't want that, and we've been,
Yeah.
had people kind of say they're not gonna do that, but then.
sure,
do
Sure.
that in the past, but 8 feet is not a very tall ceiling.
And the way, I mean, so I understand that, and you probably, you have much more experience that than I do, but I look at this as a potential. Improvement to our property and storage, so I don't. I wanna maximize the money I'm gonna do on this, like, so in this investment, if we're gonna build a 2-stall garage and there's ability to have storage space above it. It's not illegal to do or not in violation of zoning, it's not, I can have storage in a building. If you approve that, then I'm gonna put storage in it, right, I mean,
So
cause
you're not
we have
gonna
to
do
put
a
a.
bathroom, do your home office.
No,
none of that
no,
stuff. Okay.
I mean, and if we were to put it, it would be cost prohibitive to put any kind of bathroom in there, because you'd have to run water out there
In
and
your septic.
through our septic, so like, I don't even want, like, I just pray that our septic continues to work the way it is, right, so I don't wanna go to that additional expense, so it's just gonna be for storage.
What was your question?
I was just wondering where the garage doors and the entry face in the
oh,
picture, I mean,
Today, or?
no, like.
The new-
where it would face the road,
No, it's gonna
Right.
face, it'll face
A house?
Face your other garage.
it's gonna face the other house, the other garage.
Okay.
So
So,
that picture on the right is the
We don't-
view that you would see from the road.
I think,
Correct.
yeah, it would be the window side,
This would be
the
the-
third down, yeah,
So the one on this.
Yeah.
the down bottom
Yeah.
left,
and then it would match the siding that's on there is not what we'd put on there, it would match the house.
yeah, right now we have like a
Color
wood
and-
batten
and
siding,
batten,
so that's
yeah.
what we would put on this.
So,
And that's what we have today, also matches the house.
yeah, and we did, so like she mentioned earlier, we had that white pine go through the roof a couple of years ago. It took 10 months for our claim to go through, and the building still has the same red roofing that the other house had.
Yeah, so we would,
So, and
Put the
we didn't
mat-
want to do anything because of how cracked the flooring is, and so it's like,
so we would match from a materials perspective,
Yeah.
it'll match exactly the primary dwelling, is what we want, you know, with the roofing will
Roof and
match the
siding,
charcoal
yeah.
roofing that we have on the main house.
All right, you have other questions, Wendy? I don't, everything.
There's self-explanatory.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
thanks.
appreciate your questions.
Make a motion to open public hearing.
No, you heard. Second. Okay.
No one online.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. All right, public hearings open.
Nobody online.
What do
I'm
you
the
think?
only person we had left, so.
Do we make a motion to
Yeah.
close public
Make a
hearing?
motion to close public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Deliberation? Comments?
Everything still looks like it's gonna be the same place. Pretty well covered by trees now anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
My only concern initially was 2 stories in the front yard. just, it scares me in setting some sort of precedent. I know we talked about other units that we have not approved, even though the second story exceeded the square footage allowable that would have been in their backyard as well. That was my main concern. The other thing that I don't know why, I think I looked at this packet 3 times today, so I don't know why I didn't notice that this actually is in line with the house. I thought it was more in the front yard of Cascade, like the existing structure. So.
Yeah, so on my side, I guess, I mean, you've heard me say it before, I mean, I'm all for being able to productively use your property, improve your property. It seems like it's an improvement from the existing structure, it's moving it back to be more in line with the house. That said, I still do get kind of hung up on the legal standards that we're supposed to follow. If we don't, maybe we're just kind of letting people do what we, just because we like it or we think it's okay. And this one's it's a little tough for me, I guess. I mean, so to me, I think I would have to conclude that the topography makes it impossible, which seems like a really high standard, to construct the building in the rear or side yard, which I understand is in this case, if they just moved it 14 feet back, that would qualify as the rear or side yard, or would it not because of the Quiggle Road?
It would still be considered in a front yard because of Quiggle. But as far as Cascade Road, if it were moved 14 feet back, it would not.
And that's where my question was with the I don't know why my brain's not working, the road.
But like the center line of the road?
Yes, because if this was on any other street.
Right.
It would be conforming because it aligns with the house.
Yep.
And they wouldn't have to push back the road section to their right, get rid of the right of way to allow it, and so that's where I'm like. I'm just
Kind of wondering, yeah, but you know, the flip side of that is, well, it's not on any other road, right? It's
That's
on
true.
Cascade. And you know, to me, we're like, hey, moving it further back off the road and in line with the house, all seems fine and good, though it still seems to be perpetuating a problem, which somebody said shouldn't exist at some point, which, you know, so I don't know if I'm just like not forward thinking enough to think like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be approving buildings that aren't set back Cascade Road, right? Like,
I just wish I knew exactly 14 feet is not much, how close that really puts it to the septic pump thing. You know?
well, yeah, and so that septic, you know, so that's a separate standard, right? Like if it would, moving it would require them to drive over a septic.
Well, not over, I think we're talking about the.
What's that? But I guess just to say kind of what my line of thinking is if what I'm hearing from staff is. Even if they moved it back another 14 feet, that still would not be considered constructed in the side or rear yard, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. If it even did have the conforming setback off Cascade Road, it would still be considered currently in the front yard off Quiggle, so it would need a special use permit either
And
way.
even, not that the new zoning has been approved, but even in the new zoning, we took into consideration weird side yards, but this still would be considered a violation of that.
Well, I think in light of that issue, I mean, I'd be willing to conclude that it is impossible to construct it in the rear side yard, because that's really driven by the creek, right?
Or the topography.
Yeah,
I will mention too, again, the setback there off Cascade, that is what they'll be going to the zoning board of appeals for as well. For a variance for the reduction there, since
Yeah.
it doesn't meet the front yard. I will also mention too, in just in the recommendation we had with the motion, we did include in there, language just saying that, you know, shall receive a variance to encroach into this 50-foot setback or revise the plans to meet setback requirements. The reason for that last little part would be if it were denied by the zoning board of appeals, it gives the applicant a little flexibility where they could amend the plans to move it back that 14 feet so it is compliant without having to come back to planning commission for approval. So that way it would still be allowed with the special use permit to be located in the front yard. But it would just need to meet that setback requirement if the variance were denied, if that makes sense.
Yep, no, it does, that makes perfect sense to me, and really, that's where I was leaning coming into this anyway, which if this has to go before the ZBA to talk about setbacks. I mean, I don't wanna base my decision on 14 feet, let them decide if that's appropriate or not. I was just a little hung up on being able to conclude that we meet a legal standard, but I'm fine, I think we do, in my opinion, so. Anybody else?
No, I think that, there are lots of questions for the applicant, and I think, and driving by, because it is so secluded, you can't see what's happening behind it, to know. And based on my understanding from the facts that are being presented to us, topographically, you know, it's impossible to move it back.
Yep. All right.
And it's getting, not that this is a good way to say it, it's getting more in conformity than it currently is.
No,
No idea.
Cascade Station 1.
Oh,
Response to Med 1 at 6117 Charlotte Woods Court Southeast.
Room number 166.
and I don't know.
The last time I was in this room, there was some really inappropriate alerts coming over that we shouldn't be hearing.
all right, with deliberation concluded,
Yeah.
Linda, you're our motion
Let
reader.
me just find it here.
It's up on the screen too. If make it really big for Wendy's eyes.
Working on it.
I'm gonna use my phone, but I'm gonna change a couple of your words.
Sure.
Motion to approve case number 253893 for type 1 special use for residential structure located in the front yard at 8751 Cascade Road Southeast for the following reasons. Constructing an accessory building in the rear or side yard of the proposed development would require grading and excessive fill of wetlands and
Riparian.
thank you. Zones which would specifically change the landscape and views of the neighborhood and be detrimental to the natural features of the property. I also wanna say, it also seems impossible to do. And I don't know how we wanna word that with eagle and such, that it's about topographically, it doesn't seem possible to move the structure back. In addition, their septic lift station is also preventing them from pushing the structure back at all. With the following conditions, the proposed accessory building shall receive a variance to encroach into the 50-foot setback for Cascade Road or revise the plans to meet the setback requirements. The accessory building shall not be used as a home occupation or accessory dwelling unit. I want that added as well. Outdoor lighting must adhere to Cascade Township standards, shielded or downcast, not creating glare for neighbors.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, that concludes our
one.
seven. You guys are all set.
Thank you.
Come out.
Thank you.
Good luck. Have a good
Yeah,
night.
thank you.
All right, Article 8, any other visitors wishing to speak, anyone online?
Nope.
Okay. Any other business for Article 9?
I just want to mention that we do have a board work session to review the zoning ordinance tomorrow here at 5 o'clock. So I'd invite the planning commissioners, if you're available, obviously Wendy will be here, to attend that work session. The packet for that is online right now. There's been a few edits that have been made, either based on attorney opinions. There's actually something that was added based on the first item that we had based on this, on 17, this section 1703 1B. We did add language to the proposed zoning ordinance, allowing someone to place an accessory structure in the front yard if they have RC, so rural conservation or farmland preservation parcel larger than 6 acres. That if their structure is within or further than 200 feet from the property line, that they would be able to do that by right, is the language that's proposed based on kind of some of the feedback that was the deliberation that the planning commission had at the last item. So we'd love to hear your feedback on that. We think that it's leaves it objective, so it can be done administratively. And it's large enough that there was actually research done that we found in the staff packets, or the former staff items, that showed there was research done on this in 2000. The reason they did it is because things kept on going to the zoning board of appeals for this type of item and were approved. So there was reason that this language was plugged in. You know, it seems that the planning commission found some reasonable reason to have this. So we added that in there because we think that they'll help some of these situations. And then, you know, everything else is online, and we'd love your feedback, and, you know, for you guys to kind of hear the board's insight before it comes to the planning commission. We're hoping to avoid back and forth between the board and planning commission, and get as much feedback as possible from the beginning.
I have no idea, but I'm not planning on being home soon.
Yeah.
It starts at 5 though, right? It's early.
Correct.
I've been on vacation for a couple of weeks, so I've been like, and then before that, I was on vacation for a week. So I've really been gone like through the whole month of, the end of June till yesterday, I was on vacation. So I have no idea what's really happening, but I'm hoping it'll be a good presentation to the board, and I think there's been a ton of changes since I've been gone, that I'm out of the loop on, so I'm hoping to hear about them, and get some feedback to the board. I briefly talked to Andrea today about some things in the packet today for tonight's meeting, and just will reiterate my opinion that I think it's good to get some board feedback before it comes to the planning commission, because I would hate for us as a planning commission to go through everything, think everything was great, send it to the board, then have them have to push it back to us again, which might still happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
but I think that it's good to kind of get them to see it, and any red flags, things they don't like, you know, that they're adamant about not wanting, at least being able to hear that before it comes to the planning commission, and for us to approve it and then go to them and then come back to us, which it might anyways, but the more often it can do that and get some opinions from them along the way, the better it probably will be.
Makes sense to me.
And just to kind of explain what you're looking at, if you go to the packet, we published the packet on July 3rd for public consumption. Absolutely nothing has changed in what is online that was published on July 7, except for there's one chart that spans 2 pages that was incorrectly formatted. And it was incorrectly formatted in a way that it shifted. So there was like 4 cells that shifted over and made it look like we had no height or story caps in any of the downtown the form-based code. So we left exactly what was in there.
So my July 3rd that I've traveled with for the last month and It's still the most recent.
Correct.
Okay, cause
Correct.
I've seen emails saying, oh, a lot has changed, but.
Yeah.
The last one was July 3rd dated, and that's the
Yes.
one I have with me
Yes.
that I've reviewed, okay.
That's correct. That is what is online. And then what we published for the meeting tomorrow has some changes, but we've added a change table to that, and everything that's changed is highlighted. And we have one section that's like, here's the substantive changes that have come in. There's one section that says like, oh, there's all these changes to, I think, section 12 or 11, which is the landscaping. There's probably 12 different references there. All of them are related to our tree preservation ordinance. There's 12 different changes because there's minor changes that were made all over sections of that, and we wanted to be able to reference them, but it's overall just the same concept. They're changes, but it's not.
One change, but it's referenced in multiple areas.
Correct. Then we have a section that says Scrivener's errors. That's, we should have had the word the instead of this, or we had the wrong reference. For transparency, we have marked every single one of those in there. I'm not sure where the kind of game of telephone came that we were changing, that there's tons of changes. There's been, yeah, there has not been tons of changes. Most of them that have been made are, we're changing one thing that's referenced to your point. Yep. 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 So all of it is in there. We are available to walk through it. We're hoping that it's not too controversial tomorrow, but the feedback, we noticed this twice now. So once we noticed it for our original date, and now we've noticed it again to neighbors for August 18. We primarily have got positive responses. The question we get most of the time is, what is form-based code? So we're working on putting into the newsletter that goes out to all the residents a definition of form-based code, just kind of an explanation of form-based code, because that is one of the biggest changes when we look at what's getting, rezoned, because we're going essentially from B1, which is where Commissioner Kramer's property is. We're sitting in the B1 right now, to a form-based code. Okay, I turn that off, or I'm recording again. So I want to make sure that, we're available. We have not got any really negative response to this.
That was really helpful, and I'd have to do some stuff to come, but it seems like a really good way to kind of get, yeah, kind of cheat my way.
Yeah,
The-
that's what I'm hoping.
The comments that we've got have been, are we going to have to make, I'd say we probably have received between 12 to 20 different calls, emails, people stopping in. And it's pretty much, do we have to spend money right now? Which obviously the answer is no, because you don't have to spend, you don't have to redevelop your property to be compliant with the zoning ordinance. And most people are really excited about it.
Great. All right, any other business? If not, meeting adjourned.